Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game, and it's a preview for Swansea City against West Ham United. 3 points up for grabs, but my gosh, it's a 6-pointer. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on our opponents, the Swans?
I think they had the lift, the new manager lift, as it were, where I quite like the cut of his jib, actually. Well, I certainly like him in interview anyway. Seems like a happy-go-lucky chap. Got them firing, got the best out of Jordan Ayew, certainly. I can't help but think, though, that I think there might be a little dip around the corner. I do think it is that new manager lift. Yeah, I know they won in the cup, but I just think it's they might well be going downhill. Of course, they got the centre back who we were linked with. I think Leon Britton maybe is possibly looking. He might be trying to get back in the squad. He's not really featured much this season. They play football on the deck. They're all right, but they might struggle.
And our guest tonight is joining us from the West Ham Ways. X, what's your thoughts on the Welsh side?
Well, yeah, like Gonzo said, they're starting to get a bit of form under the new manager. I think they got battered by Brighton, though, last weekend, didn't they? 4-1 or something. So I'm hoping that's caused a bit of, a turn in their fortunes. Now, you know what my knowledge is like of the opposition. It's not great. And I don't know if Andre Ayew can play, if he's fit or not. But if he is fit, then that always worries me when an ex-player, particularly kind of under the circumstances that he left us on, when they play against us, then that always worries me. So, yeah, I'd be disappointed if we lost, but I'm not overly confident either.
I quite like Swansea, as you said, Gonzo. They play nice football, and for that reason, I hope they do stay up. Actually, I'd rather see a club like that in the Premier League any day over someone who's maybe a little bit more long ballish, like a Tony Pulis side. Although he's not kicking about in the league yet, I don't have anyone to focus on. But I think you're being a bit harsh with the new manager lift because they've only lost 1 in 12 games. So for it to be a new manager lift, it's a hell of a long, big lift. It's certainly longer than our one under David Moyes. But Gonzo, what about Andre Ayew? He's in line for his first start. The reason for that is it's not because he's crap. It's just because they've been playing well and it's been a settled side. However, as Extra said, they got thumped 4-1 last week by Brighton. So Ayew could start. I mean, scored a goal every 200 minutes for us this season. Do you think he was underrated? Or do you fear him on Saturday? Is he one of their biggest threats alongside his brother?
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, what X alluded to, funny enough, he's popping up on the screen there and it says the West Ham way. And that would be the West Ham way. It really, really would for him to come and be absolutely brilliant against us. But almost got to put that to one side, really, I think. They're I don't know. He can't. We've got to put that. That's superstition. He can't suddenly start to play against us and be brilliant. Surely he's got to play against us and be crap.
X, I know your knowledge on oppositions aren't excellent, but apart from Andre Ayew, is there anyone you fear from that Swansea side, or is there anyone you quite admire?
Well, as Gonzo said, yeah, I mean, God has already said his brother's doing pretty well, isn't he? So Jordan Ayew's looking pretty tasty. I mean, going back to Andre Ayew, obviously the last time he played against West Ham was when he played for Swansea, I guess, at Upton Park in that last penultimate game where he absolutely destroyed us. So that's the worry for me. But yeah, I think I like him. I like his brother. I like the centre-back that we were linked with as well. And I also like Carl Norton as a full-back. I think he's quite good with pace and so on. And unfortunately, if he's bombing down the wing, you know, if it's ever at left wing-back, then that could be a concern for me. So, yeah, I think pace against our ageing wing-backs could be an issue.
That's a good point about Andre Ayew's last game against West Ham being at Upton Park when he did I didn't really think about that. I've always liked Klukas. I liked him at Hull. He went to Swansea. He's had a bit of stick at Swansea. He's looking good, but I've always thought he's a really, really good midfielder. There's quite a few players for Swansea with points to prove this weekend, which is not good for us. You've got Andre Ayew, obviously. You've got Key, and you've got Alfie Mollison, 2 players linked with us that we didn't end up going for. You could argue they've got points to prove. But lastly thing, they've won their last 3 games at home. Gonzo lost just 1 in 12, which was last week. Will they stay up?
Yes, I do believe they will. I do believe they will.
What about yourself, X? Do you think Swansea will escape the trapdoor?
I think so, based more on the fact that there's worse teams. I think West Brom are pretty much gone now. I think Southampton are going to be one of the others, and possibly maybe Stoke or Huddersfield, someone like that. There's often a team that kind of drops right at the end. So I hope it's not us, but I think Swansea, on the form they're on, probably have enough quality to get out of it now.
Well, speaking of hopefully it's not us, that's where we're to discuss, because a defeat would drag us equal points with 18 spot. We might even be the 18th spot, and depends on goal difference. But Gonzo, we conceded 4 last week, but it was Liverpool. So back 5, would you be making any changes in that back 5 that started at Anfield?
Yeah, I would. I'd be taking Everett out, and I'd actually put Antonio back there. Masuaku's not available yet, is he?
No.
No, yeah, I'll put Antonio back there. So, yeah, aside from that would be the same.
What about yourself, X? Do you agree with that? The back 5, you've still got Winston Reid, who's fit. You've got Declan Rice, who's fit. We've conceded 4. Everett had his debut, or would you be keeping it the same?
I think I'd do what Gonzo said, but I think I'd probably push Cresswell to left wing back and then bring in Winston Reid or Rice either to come into centre back position, because for me, although he has played better there, Cresswell, since he's been converted to centre back, he just isn't a centre back for me, and I'd feel much more confident with either Reid or Rice there. So yeah, either Antonio or Cresswell as left wing back, and then one of those to come in to the centre back role.
Yeah, I have to agree with X here. This is why I would have done at Liverpool, as you know, Gonzo, when we did the preview. I wouldn't see Cresswell back left wing back, because he just gives us that attacking dimension as well when he gets forward. I think that's important. I think we have to get him forward and bring in a centre back, whether that's Reid or Rice. Either or, I'm happy with either of them there. Marko Naujovic has scored 3 in his last 4 away games while playing as a striker, but who's going to be his partner up front? Gonzo, is it time we bring back Hernandez? I'll say bring back, he's only missed 1 game, but Mexican's got to start, right?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, he would have felt hard done by. Although I did understand why Moyes did it, I've got to say, I really did. But he'll feel aggrieved, and he deserves to be, because he was in a great run of form. Hopefully his head's not dipped too much. I'd certainly bring him back.
Well, who would you drop, Gonzo?
Mario.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's kind of obvious, isn't it, unfortunately for him. X, do you agree with that one as well? Would you be bringing in Hernandez for Mario and getting the partnership back up front?
Yeah, I think Hernandez has got to come in. I mean, we need to get a result here. We obviously need goals, and he's the main man for that. Be tempted to, although I'm not sure about the balance of the side, I'll be tempted to keep Mario in, put him more centrally. Although, again, I don't know how good he would be there. Maybe drop Chiate for me. But I'm not sure if Mario is strong enough for central midfield, and whether it might be too much of a risk to find out then. But yeah, Mario was poor against Liverpool, but I think he's been good in the games before, so it does give you a bit of a dilemma.
There was no West Ham Way podcast this week because of snow. So what was your thoughts on dropping Hernandez last week?
I thought it was I can see why he did it, because we're away at Liverpool, and obviously Liverpool are so good going forward. He wants to kind of make it a bit more defensive. However, I just don't think you drop people that are on form. I'm a firm believer in you're as good as your last game or your last couple of games, and Hernandez has been scoring regularly and getting the form that we thought he'd have. And to drop him against Liverpool, as an ex-Man United player as well, probably would have wanted to play in that game. So for me, it was the wrong decision, particularly as Lanzini hadn't played for a while and didn't look particularly good because he wasn't fit. I don't think I would have kept Hernandez in.
I think the thing with the Lanzini, while he wasn't fit last week and we could see it, it's going to benefit us this week, because I wouldn't have liked to have seen Lanzini's first week against Swansea, if that makes sense. I think can you do that kind of at Anfield? I would do what Gonzo's saying here. Hernandez in, drop Mario. And Lanzini's a grafter. If he goes in centre midfield or he can drop deep, it allows us to play this 3-5-2 as it should be, with 2 strikers, 3 centre midfielders. Lanzini can do the dirty work. He'll probably get booked on Saturday as well, because he does pick up bookings. He is a team player, and if there is a counter-attack, he won't think twice about taking someone out, which is what we failed to do at Anfield on a few occasions last weekend. But Gonzo, how important is this one? We've got 2 reasons for this. One, we're 3 points ahead of the relegation zone. Swansea are the team in the relegation zone that's 3 points behind us. And 2, this is the last game before the March. And while it shouldn't happen, the results will affect numbers.
I said in a week, obviously it's a cup of tea issue, but I said in a week the March numbers will be affected by how we play against Swansea. the accounts that get published and the weather on the day. So this is, I think, it's a big chunk towards it. I think if we lose to Swansea and we are down as relegation place, I think you can stick another 3,000 or 4,000 people on that march.
What about the league position though, Gonzo? I mean, how big is this? Because you don't want to be going up against Burnley of all teams. While they're not in great form right now, it would put an immense amount of pressure on us at the London Stadium.
Yeah, it's a monster game. These are not bonus points at all. So I was quite not happy to lose to Liverpool, but you know, in the build-up and in the review, I was quite relaxed about it. I understand how these things go. They're a magnificent team. Whilst I was happy to be relaxed about that game, I'm not relaxed at all about this. This is a must-win. We spoke a little while ago about how Moyes has, to a certain extent, repaired his reputation at West Ham. Well, it can be undone even more quickly than it was repaired, because if we do find ourselves at the bottom, if we do lose this, then it's almost back to square one. So it's going to be a tactical test of minds between the two managers, as well as a sort of physical test and a test of skill between the two sets of players. Quite often this season, especially at the start of the season when we lost our first few games, we kept saying, use on your podcast, me and Gonzo on previews, we kept saying this game's a must win, this game's a must win. But actually, when you're thinking about it now, those games weren't must win. This one is a must win.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, it's that time of year now, isn't it? When you're starting to get towards the end of the season, and these games against relegation rivals are, like you say, 6-pointers. This is a must-win game. You know, if we lose this, not only sort of mathematically and in terms of the table, is it bad for us, but psychologically it is as well. When you start to fall into the relegation zone, your mindset changes massively, and you're playing with more pressure, you're playing with more, you know, eyes on you type thing. So I think this game and the one against Burnley, if we can get a couple of wins there, all of a sudden the season looks different. If we lose both of them, well, then things are looking very worrying, to say the least.
Our charity bet with Betway this weekend is West Ham to win. Hernandez to score. He's back. He's got a point to prove, Hernandez, assuming his confidence hasn't been affected. And both sides to get 4 corners or more and 2 cards or more. That's 12-1. So if you want to have a little punt on that, get on to Betway. Betway are sticking £50 on that as well. So whatever 13 times 50 is goes towards the Isla Fund should it win. Also, speaking of the Isla Fund, X, you're currently doing a fundraising thing on Twitter. Big prize up for grabs. You want to just quickly tell us about it on how to get involved?
Yeah, well, following on the success of auctioning, Matthew Everington's FA Cup worn shirt, which we got £2,850 for, which, and Matty, credit to the man, you know, giving away that prize and hand delivering it to the person that won it, you know, is a massive testament to what a fella he is. His best mate, he was best man at Ginger's wedding, as was Ginger. Collins has given us his signed shirt and boots from the Liverpool game. So it's a shame it was that result, but yeah, from the Liverpool game, and already it's got 1,500. And you know, there's not been many positives this season at all. Really, is all the focus is on negative things. But this is the one thing that I think West Ham fans have got behind, has had a positive impact, and a positive impact for such a proper cause. You know, no one deserves to go through what Isla and her family are going through, and this, for me, is something that all fans should get behind. And I've got many other auctions coming. I've been approached by so many people now that I've got sort of 20 other things coming. So if we keep this momentum going, she'll get to America, and then we'll see. We'll hopefully give her the life she deserves.
Indeed. So get involved if you can. Back to the game. Last couple of questions. Gonzo, are you confident for this one, and how are we going to win? I mean, also a sub-question to that. Are you wanting Moyes will play for the point here?
No, I don't think Moyes will play for the points. He can't. And I am confident. Neither team has got what you might call a world-class player, but I do think we have a caliber of player that when they're on form wouldn't look out of place in top 6 teams, and or you know, certainly UEFA teams. Hernandez is a player of quality who's played at top clubs. I think Arnautovic, if he's on form, doesn't look out of place in many top teams. I think Antonio's a big player for us, and I think from what we saw against Watford and what we saw in the last game, he's ready to fire again on all cylinders following a little dip and an injury. I also think Lanzini is a tremendous player, and when he's on top form, he's hard to cope with. So I certainly think not only have we got enough, we've got a bit more than Swansea, who I think Jordan Ayew seems to be a player in form, but I don't think the same could be said of them. We've got some very good players, and I think Moyes has got to grasp the nettle, and he knows it.
What about yourself, X? Are you confident for this one? How do we get 3 points at the Liberty Stadium?
I like to be positive, but I don't feel that confident, to be honest with you. I just can see a draw. I think it just has draw written over it this game. But, you know, maybe we will go out there and get the win. It's so hard to predict with West Ham. The key for me is Arnautovic. I mean, out of the Liverpool game, he was the one player that stood out for me. And I happened to be sat in the Liverpool with Liverpool fans for that game. It was very hard to keep quiet. But everything you could hear from the Liverpool fans around me was how good's Arnautovic. Wow, what a player. That man's dangerous. And I think he is the key to our success in this game.
Yeah, I agree with what you're both saying here. We've got the right players in the right form. Take away the Liverpool game, our back three is in arguably decent form individually. Our Noble's playing just as well as I've seen in a long time. And the front two, it's assuming Moyes picks them, and God, he has to pick them. Them two are banging in goals. And I'm confident we will score at least one between those two, and it's up to the rest of them to do their job in order to get the 3 points. But Moyes has to go for the 3 points. He cannot come away with a point and think that's enough, because we're then going on to the next game talking about the same thing. Oh, this is a must-win game. And before you know it, we're playing Man City. And, you know, it's not. You don't want to be going into that 3 points away from relegation or something. But speaking about score predictions, X, do you want to go first? What's your score prediction for this one? Are we getting 3 points?
I hate to say it, lads, but I think I'm going to go for 2-2.
Oh, that's my favourite scoreline. Gonzo, what about yourself? I think you're most confident out of the three of us.
I've got a feeling like the Stoke and Huddersfield sort of feeling about it. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win well. I think we're going to win 3-1, 4-2, something like that. I think we've got goals in us, and I think we're going to win handsomely. Yeah,
the thing with goals in us, the only thing, the last 3 games at Liberty Stadium have been 0-0 at half-time. They've been keeping it tight. They're well organised. And we can sometimes struggle against teams like that. We prefer teams that come at us so we can then go back out of them on the counter-attack. It does worry me a little bit, but I'm going to go for 1-1. I'm not sure. I'm stuck between 1-1 and 2. I'm going to go for 1-1. But let's just hope that on Sunday the headlines on the paper don't say, "Are you worried about relegation yet?" Anyway, we'll be back on Saturday. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll see you on the review on Saturday.